Hola y bienvenidos a las todos. Hello, everyone. Good evening, buenas noches, and welcome back to another episode of Los Lobos de la Lucha, your weekly CMLL post show here at BC WrestlePod. My name is Mikey El Jefe at BC WrestlePod, and I'm going to be holding it down tonight for CMLL, which is a lot of fun. And honestly, I'm looking forward to it. Last week, we kind of took the week off to kind of reset and recalibrate. And now that we are back, we are acting full force into everything. So, of course, I am not truly alone this evening, as of course, I do have our virtual co host, Primo Agent Lo-Fi, who is in the house. So I appreciate him being here. We got lots to talk about, not only in terms of this episode of Viernes Espectacular, but we do have some updates. We have, people not in the company no more, and just announced recently that I'm going to talk about. We got a television deal in Mexico, which is really, really cool. Um, so, yeah, we're going to get into all of that very shortly. But before we do, to get through the intro spiel, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick is where you can see us go live pretty much every day of the week at this point. But our main YouTube channel houses the edited reviews, so we condense our lives into something more manageable. Those go up 24 hours after the lives do, so this will go up soon. But if you're looking for something more manageable, we do have our social medias at BC WrestlePod where you can interact with us. And that is a fun place because you can see our report cards, you can see clips of our lives, you can see predictions, weekly previews, everything. It's crazy. So this is going to be a lot of fun as well. Ooh, didn't get the matches, but we got who's coming over from the for the MLW CMLL show. Awesome. I'm gonna make sure I have that written in my notes as we go through it, so that's gonna be fun because we got lots of news to talk about at the end of this show. But we also have merchandise, BC WrestlePod Shop dot Wrestle, BC WrestlePod Shop dot fourthwall.com. And on it, we also have a coffee bot. We watch a lot of streaming programs. We pay for a lot of streaming programs, and we're doing okay. But if you want to help donate, you can donate to our little coffee bot. That is okay. It's okay. It's at the right end of a form. Awesome. Okay, definitely going to look at that. So, without further ado, that is my intro. So, let's get into this. So, again, we're kind of like in the midst of, well, I say we're in the midst of back to form for Viernes Espectacular, but this week was a little bit different because we had some of our AEW folks come on over to Arena Mexico, and we're going to get into those matches as we go with it. But let us begin, shall we? We are talking about the Friday, April 3rd edition of Viernes Espectacular. So let's jump into it, shall we? Because we kicked the night off with a relevo sencillo, a una caída. And this had, of course, the pequeños estrellas, so our small stars, if you're translating that in English. And this is a tag team match, relevo sencillo. We had the team of Shockercito and Galaxy taking on Menos Uno and Menos Dos. um, so I'm not gonna lie, I don't think this match was horrible by any means necessary. I do think this is pretty decent match. I wasn't extremely blown away by the match. I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble tonight because this episode I had fun, but I was just like, oh, okay. I still had a good time. And I feel like I'm going to be repeating myself a lot during this episode. So I apologize in advance. But back to this match specifically. I thought this match was pretty good, or it was pretty decent. I wasn't blown out of the water like it was, but I do think it was a strong start. I noticed that they are utilizing Chakracito a lot, at least in the last couple of weeks. He's been on the Viernes Espectacular shows. So that's pretty cool. It's been a hot minute since I've seen Galaxy, and it's been a hot minute since I've seen Menos Uno y Menos Dos. So, um, and you know what? I think that's why I didn't think this match was anything extraordinary either. These same guys have had the same match 6 times in the past couple of weeks. Lol. And I think that's what it is because I feel like we're seeing the same type of matches over and over again to kind of kick off the show, which I'm not upset about, but like I've seen some form of Shakurcitos and the Minoses and Galaxy, and it feels like they're no pun intended, but we are literally, it seems like we're having a small pool when it comes to our pequeños estrellas. So I'm really hoping that we get some variation in the next coming weeks. But yeah, I thought this was fine for what it was. I still enjoyed it. This was a decent opener, but I feel like because we're having a repeat of people continuing to fight each other, that's that's the annoying part, which I really hate to say. But hey, you know what? It is what it is, right? But let me get my notes right. It would be the team of Shakurcito and Galaxy to pick up the victory here. So I had a good. This was a fine opener. This was decent, but please, CMLL, let's mix it up, shall we? Because I would appreciate that. But moving on, we get into our second match, which was a relevo. I will say the crowd was into this one. Agreed. I think they were. And going into our second match, we do have a relevo australiano, a dos de tres caídas. And this saw the team of Capitan Suicida, Fugas, and Brillante Jr. taking on the team of Utani Okamura and Shoma Kato, who is brand spanking new to me. Um, this was a lot of fun. I think again, I'm biased. I think Okamura is a great hand to have as a vet of the sport. Utani is amazing. But I think this match definitely had the fun factor for me personally. I could definitely tell that Shoma still has some things to work on, but honestly, from what I saw of him in this match, I actually do like what Shoma is bringing to the table. And I think with more training and guidance in Mexico, I think he has something to be the potential and do awesome stuff. And of course, I have to give it to the other team as well because Suicida, Fugas, and Brillante Jr., I think also brought a lot of fun to this match. I thought this was fun. Again, I'm biased because I'm a big Utani fan and I do like Japanese style wrestling. And I think Utani is definitely hoping to see him do more this year. But I do think that this carried the energy that we had from the beginning match. And I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I really did. Mhm. Primo coming in with his thoughts. Fun enough. Thought they had better in them, but Utani looked great as usual and a bit surprised of how good Brillante Jr. looked. I have to agree with you too. It's Brillante Jr., at least from what I've seen of him since we started covering CMLL, tends to hit or miss. But I think this was a fun enough match. And it would be the team of Okamura Utani and Shomo Kato to pick up the victory here. And I thought this was a fun enough match. Now, let's get into this next one because I was happy because listen, I know she tends to be a polarizing figure when it comes to wrestling. I love La Mera Mera. I love Thunder Rosa. I think she is fun. She, as somebody who is a Latino, I appreciate she's always, vocalizing and fighting for our community, which I think is super important. But let's talk about this match, right? So in this, we have a level Australiano de Amazonas, again, a dos de tres caídas. And this was the team of AEW star Miss Thunder Rosa teaming up with Marcela and India Sui, taking on the team of Persephone, Princesa Suhit, and Olympia. Listen, Thunder versus Persephone is something that we're probably going to end up getting. I would not be surprised if that is going to be a summer thing that we get or whenever the next big showing is for the women. But I thought this was a fun match. Also, I know it was weeks ago when she got the title, but shout out to India for getting the CMLL Japan title after, when she was at the Cinderella tournament finals a couple weeks ago back in March. I thought this was a fun match. I do, and this is something I'm gonna talk more about when we get to the news section, because I feel like even though I would like to see more Amazonas matches, I do think that CMLL, at least within the last year or so, has really been picking it up with the CMLL Amazonas division, and they do have a lot of women in this. From people who are moving their way up to the card to some new folks. Like, this is great. Nice seeing CMLL treat Rosa as a big deal. I agree, because her company so, yeah. Otherwise, the match was fine, but I'll be waiting to see more one-on-one with Rosa, and I think that's where we're probably gonna see more, because I thought the excuse me, I thought the match was fun enough, um, but I do think that Rosa's one-on-ones will probably be a lot better, but who knows? We'll see. I had a fun time with this. Thunder, Marcella, and India would beat Persephone, Princesa, and Olympia here. And then, of course, afterwards, Thunder Rosa cuts a promo, and to nobody's shock, because it was already kind of lurking in the news earlier in the week. But Thunder Rosa, like her AEW compadre Claudio Castagnoli, announces, and she has signed a dual contract with CMLL. So, Thunder Rosa not only is still part of AEW, but now she is contracted and now part of the Amazonas division in CMLL. So I'm looking forward to more one-on-one matches with Thunder, and it should be a fun time. I thought this match was pretty good. I mean, it was fine. It was fun. I had a good time, and Thunder being here is going to be interesting moving forward. Alrighty. So moving on, we next have our match relampago de the técnicos here. So we have the baby faces, if you will, in American terms. So we have a lightning match, and this is Templario versus Neon. Once again, I am biased. I like Neon. I love Templario. I thought this was also a fun enough match. Have I seen better? Possibly. But again, with the 10-minute time limit, you got to get in with what you can. But I appreciate Templario and Neon. I think that they are consistently always they're putting their best foot forward when they get into the ring. And I had a fun time with this one. I truly did. I think this was a fun way to get some more fast paced action going on. And again, this was a fun one. And there was some really cool stuff here. Primo saying, "This was fun, but I really think they have better in them. Heck, maybe they just don't click one-on-one. IDK, LOL." I feel like that's the truth. I feel like, and Primo, you could tell me if I'm right or wrong, because like now that I'm thinking back of it and I'm looking at my notes, I still enjoyed the show as a whole, but I feel like almost every single match people were kind of holding back a little bit, and maybe chemistry wise, people weren't clicking the way that I thought they would. I still thought this was a fun match, but I feel like everyone was kind of holding back, and I'm trying to figure out as to why. Because no one on this, yeah, the top of the card carry the show for me. Yes, and we're gonna get into our last two matches here in a little bit, but I do think that while there were some parts lacking in this match, I do think from here to the end of the show, I think is when things kind of really picked up. Neon would pick up the victory over Templario, so I think this is a fun enough match. But let's get into our final two matches, which definitely were my highlights for me. The rest by no means was bad, just not memorable. No, I agree with Min. And again, I feel like maybe we could come up with a different word, because sometimes when I say the word that I'm about to use, people take it into a negative connotation. But I think everything prior to this, including this match, was serviceable. It knew what it was, it did what it was supposed to. I had a fun time watching it. I'm not going to put it on like my short list of, oh my gosh, I need y'all to watch this match from this past week because it was crazy, but it definitely felt like a paint by numbers, and again, not in a negative connotation, not in a negative way. Everyone did their job. It was fun, but it's not like I'm gonna like go out of my way to tell people that if you're gonna watch anything from CMLL this week, you have to watch this match. So let's talk about the last 2 matches though, because for me personally, this is where I feel like things definitely got more amped. Like, this match would have been really good for a Tuesday, Sunday show. Yeah, not a Friday show. I felt like I was watching a lot of Tuesday and Sunday show matches, which are still good, but not in Arena Mexico. Because from here, we get into our semi main event, if you will. This is the first round of the CMLL Universal Championship. So, this is, the champions that are part of the Campeones históricos, so the historic or the historic champions. So of course this is Máscara Dorada versus Flip Gordon versus Averno. And I had a blast with this one. Exactly. This was a Dorada showcase and he freaking delivered. I'm so happy that this 23-year-old is doing great things. This was a showcase for him and he's fantastic. I gotta chuckle out of watching Flip be more rudo, like tearing at Máscara Dorada's mask, working with Averno a little bit. Also, kind of not working with Averno either. So this was so much fun. Máscara Dorada definitely showed up and showed out. He was told, "Hey, I need you to do the thing," and he did all the things. I think this was a lot of fun for him, and this definitely was a showcase. And based on what we've seen of him, having him pick up the victory here and moving on to the finals is great. I'm looking forward to that, who he's going to end up facing after this Friday show. But this was a really fun one. Mascara Dorada definitely showed up and showed out. Flip Gordon and Averno are also great in this match too. But Mascara Dorada wins here and he will be moving on to the finals where he awaits the winner of this upcoming Friday's match of that phase to see who he's going to face. This was great. I had a good time. Definitely brought the energy out of it with me. Now let's get into our main event for this week, which was for the AEW World Trios Championship. So we have Jet Speed and Mystico, the AEW Trios champions, taking on, I have to say, the Don Callis family because thanks to a social media promo from Rocky Azucar Romero, Volador Jr. is apparently now part of the Don Callis family, which now brings the total to like 17 people, which is like crazy. But Jet Speed and Mystico defended the titles against Hechicero Volador Jr. and Arez, aka El Clon, which is great. The schedule right now is absolutely insane. He's probably topping Mystico this year for the most matches. So I'm gonna talk more about it, but like Mascara Dorada is gonna be everywhere. I mean, tonight he was in Canada for Dynamite to face Tommaso Ciampa. He's gonna be in Vegas, not only for the CMLL show in Vegas, which I'm gonna talk about that card too, because we got the full card for that one. But he's also gonna be at MLP's Multiverse, where him, Mystico, and Amazing Red will be taking on the Rascals, which is gonna be insane. And yeah, so more on that later. But let's talk about this match because this was technically the second title defense for Jet Speed and Speedball Mike Bailey. Oh no, for Jet Speed and Mystico, my apologies. Um, no, exactly. And that's the only gripe I had is at the beginning of the match, we were like trying to figure out what we were doing. We had a couple of mishaps, but once everybody got going, this exactly was the main event that we needed. This was the main event that we wanted. And this kind of delivered and then some as the match went on. I do appreciate that teaming with Mystico, Jet Speed was working more technical. I know the crowd was having a little bit of a tough time trying to cheer for them, but I do think that they won them over. And I mean, this was a lot of fun. No, exactly. And I think that's why this match definitely was was probably my favorite of the entire night because the crowd was absolutely bananas gonzo for this match. I think everyone did so good. I know I say this all the time if you tune into our AEW shows, but I love Arez or El Clan when he does like the delayed like backwards Pele kick, like he bends over and then just jumps and he does the kick. It's great. Um, this was so much fun. I think the crowd wanted Jet Speed to get the pin. Otherwise, they were with them. Yeah, I agreed. But Místico does get the win here by hitting La Mística for the tap out. And Jet Speed and Místico are still your AEW Trios World Championships champions. This was a lot of fun. I highly recommend to everyone. This is the match I would recommend from this past Friday to go out of your way to watch because this is such a fantastic match. And this was certainly a lot of fun. And yeah, I can't say I like more things, please. So this is gonna be so fun. But let's get into a preview of what's to come for this Friday's episode of Viernes Espectacular. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. And we have some fun stuff coming up this week. So let's give the rundown and then we'll talk a little bit about our news section. And Primo, you can give me your thoughts on everything. Absolutely. That main event from this past Friday for the Trios Championships for AEW. Please watch that match. Definitely check it out. It's great. I'm thinking maybe I wonder if I should do like at the end of the week, like here are the matches that I would have recommend to people throughout the week to kind of give people a glimpse if they, of everything. Anyways, also Primo, I forgot to message you this, but I am almost done writing the script for the Irma Gonzalez video that I want to make. And I'm gonna start filming it soon. So I'm hoping that video comes out at the end of the month. So stay tuned for that because I'm looking forward to that one. And thank you for your help, by the way. That was fun. But let's get into previewing this Friday's episode of Viernes Espectacular. We are starting things off with a primera lucha a una caída. So this is going to be the team of Max Star, Futuro, and Valiente Jr. taking on the team of Guerrero Maya Jr., Raider, and Concebrero. So that should be a fun opening. I appreciate it. I'm not the most technical person, but you're just gonna watch me talk about it. So I'm hoping that helps. And I'm gonna have pictures, hopefully. Anywho, but after that, Segunda Lucha de Amazonas, we are getting Tessa Blanchard and Gata Negra taking on Zuxis and Kira. So I'm looking forward to seeing more Gata Negra and Kira because I think they're great. Zuxis is cool, and Tessa is here. Uh, but after that, Evento Especial and match Relampago. So we are getting Star Jr. versus El Valiente. So that one should be fun as well. Then in the Lucha semifinal, we are getting Atlantis Jr., Flip Gordon, and Esfinge taking on the team of Defunto, Barbosa, and Furia Roja. It's been a hot minute since we've seen our lovable zombie and, 2/3 of Galeon Fantasma. So happy to see them back on my screen. But then in the main event, we have the Segunda Fase por el Campeonato Universal 2026. And these are all the Campeones Mundiales participating in this one. So it is Místico versus Hechicero versus Templario versus Ángel de Oro versus Neon versus Niebla Roja versus Stigma. That's crazy. I honestly can't tell you how the main is laid out. We're all going to find out that night. Seriously, I don't know what the rules are gonna be. We don't know who's gonna win, but I'm here for shenanigans, tomfoolery, and lucha libre. So that is gonna be fun. So I'm looking forward to this Friday's episode. Okay, so now normally we don't spend a lot of time on news, but we had so much happen this week. I kind of feel like we need to discuss all the stuff that is happening in the world that regards to our CMLL folks, right? Because CMLL over the next couple of weeks is about to be on and popping. Like, there's going to be so many people jumping in and out of different shows in the next couple of weeks and in May too. So I'm just like, oh. So let's talk about it, shall we? Um, what do I want to start with? You know what? Okay, so let's start. Let's try to go in chronological order here. So let's talk about what I learned earlier this week, and what most of us learned earlier this week. And I mean, we don't have to discuss it long because everybody else has kind of already talked about it a lot. But let's talk about it. So CMLL earlier this week put out a notice that as of April 1st, La Catalina has decided not to renew her CMLL contract and therefore has parted with CMLL. She and CML, according to the post, she and La Catalina and CMLL have departed on good terms, and they wish her well on whatever's next for her. So I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. But then we learn from news outlets, Fightful, and other places that La Catalina was not very happy with how she was being booked. And so she decided not to renew her contract. And even more, supposedly, she will be making her debut or return to AAA this Saturday. And yeah, so I'm a little bummed to see La Catalina go. I thought she was a lot of fun, but again, you know what? She wants to head over to AAA or wherever was next for her. I'm not going to say no. And I just want people to be happy where they're at and to do great things. So we'll see if she actually does appear on the AAA show this Saturday. Um, I think everyone's going to be okay. So I'm wishing La Catalina the best, as I watched AAA as well, or at least this version of it. So we'll see what happens. But I'm wishing La Catalina the best as she is moving forward in the next step of her career. Alrighty. So now let's talk about it because I mentioned it earlier with Místico and Máscara Dorada going to be at the MLP show. But during WrestleMania weekend or the week of WrestleMania, CMLL is going to be part of the Palms Slam Fest, and we have a card. Oh, she's going to be the top of the card in AAA immediately. Honestly, a good choice, even though I won't be watching. Honestly, that is fair. I just want La Catalina to be happy, and I want her to be, wherever she goes next, I'm going to support her because I like her. I really do. I think she's fun to watch. But back to what I was saying, CMLL has its own show happening during WrestleMania weekend. That's part of the Palm Slam Fest. And so we have we have one, two, three, four, five, six. We have 7 matches happening at this show. So I'm going to read them off. So we have a Micro Estrellas showdown. So we are going to see Que Malito and Periquito Zacarias taking on Chamuel and Tengu. So that should be interesting. Persephone is going to be defending the CMLL Women's World Championship against an unnamed opponent at this time. So interested to see what this is going to be about. Then what is being touted as a legendary match, Blue Panther versus Ultimo Guerrero. So should be fun. Then we have the Ultimate Técnicos versus Rudos. So Templario, Esfinge, and Shelhua will be taking on Soberano Jr., Defunto, and Barbosa. So that should be a fun match. In a high-flying spectacle, it is Máscara Dorada and Neon taking on Flip Gordon and Capitan Suicida. Then, in a Power versus Legacy, Claudio Castagnoli taking on Atlantis Jr. And then in the main event, Champion versus Champion Showcase, Místico versus Hechicero. I think this is going to be a fun show. I do definitely. These are all the people that could travel to the United States. But honestly, though, I'm excited, especially if this gets more eyes on CMLL. Speaking of getting eyes on CMLL, I do want to talk about this really quickly. I don't know all the details of it, but it was announced during Informa that CMLL has announced a new television deal with its live shows from Arena Mexico, setting to air on Fox Sports 2 starting Friday, April 24th. Now, that doesn't mean anything for us. Well, it could because I got cable, y'all. But good on CMLL getting its a TV deal with Fox Sports 2. I think this is great. And again, more eyes on CMLL is never a bad thing. Now, if I can access Fox Sports 2, and I just need more details. Are we gonna get like the live Friday shows? Is this gonna be live? Do I get to save money on this YouTube subscription? But we'll see. So I'm really proud of CMLL. So this is gonna be a fun one for sure. And then finally, let's talk about this really quickly. Primo, you brought it up earlier that while we don't have the matches quite yet, we do have the stars that are going to be appearing for the show. I assume that's Mexico only, and if so, may have to warm up the Yo, facts. Let me tell you, Primo, VPN is a lifesaver, especially like I know I'm a mark because I watch WWE, but let me tell you that VPN is a lifesaver because I'm not paying for extra subscriptions for this. So once we get more details, I'm like I might have to get the VPN again and watch that. So it should be fun. But getting into all of this really quickly, let's talk about coming up on May 1st, we have the second annual CMLL versus MLW show. And while we don't have the matches, we do have people coming down. So that should be fun. That, so I also assume they won't air full shows. They'll heavily edit it like, boo. Anyways, we'll figure all that out when we get there. So coming to Arena Mexico for the CMLL and MLW show, we have, of course, Miss Shotzi Blackheart, which should be a lot of fun. Trevor Lee, Ikuru Kwan, so that should be a fun one. Donovan Dijak, so Dijak is coming back, unfortunately. Bishop Dyer is also going to be here, which is okay, I guess. Which I'm not mad about, but it is what it is. So we also have Diego Hill, who I'm excited to see. So this should be really, really fun. Uh, Kushida is also going to be here in the building, which is going to be a lot of fun, which should be a good time as well. Newly signed MLW, Lady Frost. So I'm excited to see Lady Frost come back down to Mexico. So that should be Sunday. That would be a fantastic time. And that is all of our stars so far from the MLW side of things who are going to be coming to Mexico to have some matches with CMLL. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great. So should be really, really fun. I'm just hoping Sunday show batches pop. That would be crazy. I would love to see those. I'm not even gonna lie. But that's gonna be it for our show. Yes, that's it for our show this evening. Primo, thank you for being here this evening. I'm hoping that next week I will have Papa also back at least. But until then, we got some stuff to wrap up the week. Tomorrow, I will be back here. I will be going from Lucha Libre in Mexico. And I will be going across the pond to the UK because I will be here tomorrow night to cover Progress Wrestling Chapter 192, Cause and Effect, which should be a lot of fun. Then Friday is our go home show for TNA. And then on Saturday, we will be having a live watch along of TNA Rebellion. So looking forward to have a fun remainder of the week. That's going to be it for us here tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. From all of us here at BC WrestlePod to you at home. Remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you next time, but until then, sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace.